narrative, driven by unresolved rather than fresh facts. By the end of this stage, the and uncertainty are whether or not. The question of whether Funky was messy is no longer relevant. Instead, his account fits so well while hers breaks and rumors are no longer a problem. It's about the clash of stillness and detail because, following collision, the audience constructs their opinions without waiting for. At the end of chapter 3, stop speculating about because they are so noisy. Even the most peaceful organizations become caught up in the pandemonium. Who can afford to remain silent? At this point, they stopped advancing on the basis of fresh information and is turning inward. When the theatrics are removed, Funky's story has a tight structure. Instead of concentrating on what was said, the listener state why some things were never touched at all. Tamar's tale, on the other hand, is still ambiguous. And the longer that ambiguity is left uncontrolled, in terms of gravity, it doesn't specify when things changed, but at this point, spectators can see that Tamar avoids anchors in his speech. She doesn't mention anyone in the area. And she doesn't explain how a pleasant evening became later called a terrible situation. Not absent. Those details seem to have been consciously left out. The narrative she presented appears to be intentionally lacking. This decision appears to be avoidance in a circumstance when they identify their objective, because detail had it. Management rather than evil. Instead of being perplexed, Tamar is perceived as someone trying to maintain control over a scheme that has started to unfold without her. And the suspicions grow each time she crucified illusions to cause harm. Funky clarifies that quiet does not result in imbalance since people seek scandal. She always calls for adjustment, and this adjustment takes the shape of collective interpretation. The inner replayed, and in training on what actually happened. Online viewers, she could have said to stop the storm, but choose not to. Moment where she claims it's an isolated moment. The room doesn't immediately blow up. It gets tighter. Before continuing, he stops, but it's not a confident pause. Instead, a person is considering repercussions of speaking. He settles his shoulders. His voice becomes quieter. He then says, "I'm not. Are you aware of what actually happened to you? What? Or what are you able to discuss? I don't know what actually happened, but I can talk about it." How to react to Tamar. Most onlookers as a warning. Because the future is not determined by rumors. Just before she appears on camera.com and at ease, Tamar utilizes doubt as a cover. When asked if she knows what really happened, she answers calmly and detachedly rather than with denial or accusation. Doesn't know what actually transpired with her online. Innocent is not heard. It finds omissions. However, Funky hears something. He was initially reacts in a subdued manner. He jumps over portions of the discussion and then looks straight as a commentator, but as someone who is present, whose name is already circulating and appearing in comment sections without his permission. Without making a joke out of it, he calls her a liar. As it hits the floor, it makes a cracking sound. Funky accuses Tor of lying about that. Clips begin to circulate. People come back. They exchange screens. There are more threads. A few of the details that together. They include injuries that were publicly reported but never treated. A birthday celebration that wasn't really, and a night that changed. Was recounting it. The frame. He cars, restaurants, and travel. Who unexpectedly emerged? He said, birthday celebration bothers me. Since I'm telling you right in front of your face, I really dislike that. Bull. Seated, who didn't head upstairs. The temperature decreases when he explains why he didn't pursue Tamar into her own home. According to Funky, he returned home because Mendeecees and Tamar in the vehicle. Hold, this is more dangerous than a messy fall because the internet doesn't wait for an explanation when stories don't match. It strains everything and slows down the story by and that he initially recommended Ruth's Chris as a last resort. Of the